Hello everybody, welcome back to the DST show. We're going to be back to our fraudulent remarks that I do for a lot of teams, of course. You saw my correction on the Philadelphia Eagles from the regular season, and guess what? They lost the Super Bowl! Whoop-de-doo! Consummate reminder to all Eagles fans that you're on our... Okay, I'm joking. But, besides that, I want to go basketball route that I've been doing for a part of this channel for a while, noting that the Memphis Grizzlies, that were quite a popular team around last season, nearly making the conference semifinals, getting exited in the second round, and now they fall to the second best in the Western Conference before the All-Star break. Some people could find that actually a good thing. Your young uprising team over in a big playoff push, and you guys even had an 11 game winning streak around late December to around the New Year. How's that anything to talk negatively about DST? Uh, let's go over that they've went to two over 3 game losing streaks, and the majority of their winning streak comprehended a fringe play-in competition, and of course, declining teams like the Orlando Magic getting back-to-back road tests around. Then we could say that a 5 game road trip could always set off a team back. You're not familiar over the visiting team's terrain, and especially the Sacramento Kings that came over as a mediocre franchise that were possibly getting highly critiqued over trading away Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield to get Domantas Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers. And now look at them. Halliburton is now an all-star. Buddy Hield's possibly a major trade asset for the future. And, of course, Domantas Sabonis has made a great 1-2 combo with him and De'Aaron Fox. And now they're the third best team behind the Memphis Grizzlies. Possibly the second best if they continue their momentum. And hopefully, because the Kings haven't been relevant since the early 2000s. Or whenever DeMarcus Cousins tried to assault his head coach. All the controversy had to go with them losing over to the Boston Celtics 109 to 119 after falling short of a 2 game winning streak that they could have actually lost, but they blown out their teams off double digits because the Bulls are mid and the Timberwolves didn't trade D'Angelo Russell yet around that time because that was February 10th. That was nearly under a week before the trade deadline happened. And yeah, the Grizzlies, I feel like they're just an undisciplined basketball team. They don't have the highest points average per game. They're possibly not the fastest team. They're probably more inconsistent than they are over a 3-point competition. And just reliant over possibly a weak winter schedule like the New York Knicks have, but the Knicks actually exceeded expectations. Grizzlies need to clean it up. They're only ninth in points average per game. I don't trust them off ball whenever it comes to creating their own play or actually being disciplined off the cut. They're just reliant over raw talent. The only notable veteran they even have on their team is they had Danny Green until he went off to the Cleveland Cavaliers over a 3-way trade. And Steven Adams. That I think is just there for the ride, to be honest, because we all know how much he suffered over his stint in OKC. And now they've only won 3 of their last 5, but that came over having a 3-game losing streak against the Toronto Raptors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Portland Trailblazers. Team that you think that they would blow out. And then the Warriors, that's not been the hottest since winning the championship. The Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, without Devin Booker, by the way. This was January 22nd. And, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. They won't even be in a long road trip until the 1st of March. So, just a few days after the deadline finally, after the All-Star weekend finally ended. And they're going to be the earliest to even play after the All-Star weekend. Most of the other teams won't even play around the 24th and 25th. And they're playing off against the first seed Denver Nuggets, the top seed 76ers, and the new Lakers. That has actually, I think, improved over the deadline since getting rid of Russell Westbrook. And Thomas Bryant. And then they play them again around the March 7th. And then the Nuggets again in a road trip. then the new Mavericks, then the Miami Heat. And you only have under 25 games to actually clean up your mess and actually look more dominant than you guys actually are. Because you're just a half-baked young squad called the Gritty and Grind. Like, oh my god. I don't even know how they even got this subparly dominant if it wasn't for the decline and injuries of the Warriors. And yet the Nuggets don't get that much talked around because Nikola Jokic actually plays smart basketball for a 7-footer and actually has good playmaking around him. And now they got Reggie Jackson over a buyout from the Charlotte Hornets after the trade. So now they actually picked up more spot-up playmaking that can actually be used for depth, unlike the Grizzlies. That I know damn well you guys barely know half their bench. All the headlines the Grizzlies have gotten was disrespecting veterans, getting into fights with Shannon Sharp over Dylan Brooks' mishaps, Dylan Brooks just inconsiderate, just immature foul and ejection out of the game after hitting Donovan Mitchell in the nuts, and just getting an unanswered 40-point blowout. Sure, the Grizzlies might be a fun team, but you guys know that they're possibly going to be a second-round exit, even being a top seed in the Western Conference. We keep forgetting that Kevin Durant did not come to the Phoenix Suns to just lose in the first round, and so is Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks. Warriors are still a fringe playoff team. I was about to say play-in. Falling in ninth in contention. And the New Orleans Pelicans are still a competitive team. I still have the New Orleans Pelicans making it further around the playoffs than the Memphis Grizzlies or the Los Angeles Clippers or the Dallas Mavericks. None whatsoever are we getting off consistent progression out of Tyus Jones, Dylan Brooks, and he's only over his 52 games played. He's only 31 from three. That's the bare minimum of average that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does, and he does like pull-up mid-ranges. And John Morant, of course, he's the exciting player. And Jaren Jackson Jr., Xavier Tillman, Desmond Bane, not really game-changing enough to actually make a decent spot. And most of what they had over this great franchise, they were still about to trade most of their role players just to get that one piece away from contending to get Kevin Durant before he rejected 2 of their offers. So even Kevin Durant feels like, oh, I ain't dealing with this bullshit. He knows he's too old for this type of stuff. So he wants to go to a more disciplined franchise that actually been around the NBA Finals like the Phoenix Suns. So, just saying. More of a chemistry balance right there than dealing with the Memphis Grizzlies, the gritty and grind. And now he's saying that he has mutual respect for the Western Conference, after saying that the only threat around the Memphis Grizzlies and their chances to make the NBA championship is the Boston Celtics. So only the Eastern Conference is an actual threat. I hope this is a growing up period, especially the 9-day break, and especially the 4-game road trip ahead, and second half of the season, more tough competition for certain teams to make to solidify their seeding, especially over the play-in tournament. Tell me how you guys feel down below. I understand the Memphis Grizzlies been getting some hate, and me too, because I'm just prancing around trying to feel like they're all hood. Even though John Morant and the majority of these other guys didn't come from those backgrounds when they all played for AAU teams, traveling squads, and obviously come up with these expensive shoes and shit, think that they're hot stuff. Out of the more disciplined, more consistent, and more threatening grit and grind when you had Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, and Rudy Gay. And Pau Gasol. So I don't know how... No, I think Marc Gasol. But still, you understand, this is obviously just a fringe, fast-paced team that, if there was actually a generational talent, they would trade half the team in a heartbeat to get that type of player for Memphis. Not saying that John Morant isn't good, but I'm saying that the Grizzlies aren't good if they think what they think they are if they can't keep it that consistent when there's a whole lot of more basketball to play. So just for all those Grizzlies fans out there that think that they're hot stuff still, tread lightly and have some low expectations for once. That's it from the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe. How you guys feel about the Memphis Grizzlies? I understand they get a plethora of hate, and I'm part of that. I am not messing with the Grizzlies, man. Even the Boston Celtics that lost in the NBA Finals and think over being the Eastern Conference champions, they're not acting cocky. Over the players that they got that compliment them, they're actually more mature, actually win their games, and they look dominant. So that's the difference. That's it for me. Thanks for watching the DST show.